Among the most common sexual sins, pregnancy and abortion, all ugly sins, but in and of themselves, they're pernicious evils.
I came to know for myself that Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary, who was a precious and chosen vessel.
Travis Wayne gets on. So, with my new lifestyle choice from the desk arrangement, there's some adjustments to my life I need to make as things have changed. So anyway, I like it. It's better this way. So, for comment reply videos that I saw this morning, we have Christian splainers, which I can understand. I declare that I'm Mormon of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints from Brigham Young, born in the covenant, raised up as a little baby with Mormon parents, both of whom serve missions and were born in the covenant. And so I can understand that Christians want to take over and dominate my channel and explain Christianity to us heathens. Get the hell off my channel. Do your own. You don't even do it right. I mean, if you're gonna explain something, you've got to tell the truth. You can't use denialism about your own historical religious origins. You have to know and understand Constantine and the first creed of Christianity, so that you can know and understand and own that you are anti-Semites. And so, the first anti-Semite is, you know your LDS church is still racist when we have Midnight Watchman. Well, that's a cool name. Was it your mother or father who named you that? He says, ignorant garbage with little bearing on reality of the development of the Christian church. Development? I mean, creatio ex nihilo. That's where it comes from. The Genesis chapter 1 is a mistranslation, and yet scholar after scholar after scholar after scholar, so-called, because they're not really scholars if they don't use science, claim creatio ex nihilo with Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created creatio ex nihilo. From Constantine, that first creed, homusion. He made it up, and thus it means not real. Jesus, the nature and character, Trinity, not real. And he has to, because the Jewish authors who wrote those scriptures, who used the Jewish religion, who used their Christ, the Jewish Christ, who were talking about a prediction of the future with revelation of the dates of when he would come, rather than literal history. And thus why nobody can find him in the documents, and they have to stretch it. Oh, Josephus, it's proof. No. Wrong. They can't find him in the historical documents, in the historical records. For that very reason, he didn't exist. And apparently this is too complicated. and Christians have to go into denial land because it means their church is a fraud. Yeah, Constantine created it. He made it all up. He's anti-Semite, which means he's Antichrist. And Antichrist created Christianity. Cool. Let's threaten people to believe us and call their claims to truth of history as ignorant garbage. As we call ourselves cool names. Midnight Watchmen. Get the hell off my channel. See, Mormons? You're just like Christians. That's what we're going to talk about today. The actual nature and character of who the actual Mormon Christ is. And so, Rodney Dyer, on choosing not to study. Christians don't study either. The church leaders of the day said they do not read Yeshua and was told they would die in their sins. One must continue in Christ Jesus to learn the truth. It is not in religion that we are saved, and there will be no exaltation without being born again, which baptism is merely a symbol of. Rodney the Robot for Christianity. He has no clue that's only one of the thousands of branch-offs of the shattered Christianity. I'm sure he knows about Daniel and that Nebuchadnezzar dream in which he sees an idol statue god. The gold head is for Babylon and so on, down to iron, which is the Roman Empire. But wait, what's this feat of clay mingled with iron? What could that be? It's Christianity of Constantine, the merging of the Roman Empire with a substance that has no strength to it. Christianity. And yes, it shatters from the rock. Solid as a rock. That's what your religion isn't. Yep. And so, yeah, this belief is not shared by all of Christianity. Because many of the organized religions say, no, this is blasphemy. He's part of the document of Timothy. I think it's Timothy. Look for me under a rock and there I am. Lift a brick and here I am. And thus the Spirit is not in walls made out of stone and brick or something like that. I don't memorize. It's associative memory. And so that created a whole new group of Christians who now wanted nothing to do with organized religion. They now worship Jesus in their image. Doctrine and Covenants, section 1, verse 16. Mormons do it too. They're just like you, Christians. And LDS Church to be permanently terminated. For some reason, that's a breakout video. over 1,000 views in one day. Daniel Huey. The false Mormon religion and the Book of Mormon is false also. You going to stand for that, Mormons? You're just going to sit back and tell Christians that you're Christian too and deny the Book of Mormon so that you can be accepted by Christians? You're going to make up things about the Book of Mormon so that Christians can, tolerate the Book of Mormon, not call it false anymore? Or are you still trying to defend it as literal history, as critics throw out DNA and linguistics and cows? How do we defend cows? Oh no! And so here's the Jewish Christ in the keystone of Mormonism. Remember, we are told in the beginning, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2, that it's in the learning of the Jews. Thus, it's the Jewish religion, not Christian religion. Thus, it's the Jewish Christ, not the Christian Christ, regardless of what nature and character we change it to, as you just demonstrated by the 3 comment Christian replies. Every single Christian organization has a different nature and character of their Jesus, even though they all claim he's still Trinitarian. Not real. Homoousion. And that's what you have to do. Because mankind cannot comprehend that they cannot comprehend Jesus' nature and character. And yet, Christians all do. And in so doing, they then claim that we can't because we're heathens. We don't believe. We have to believe first. Then we have permission to create our own nature and character of non-Trinitarian Jesus. Homoousion. Right, Mormons? Because you're just like Christians. And so yes, the Book of Mormon then goes on to tell you, we're going to talk about the actual Jewish Messiah. And like I told you already, he's a predicted scriptural character of a future time period, i.e., the latter days. And so, he would have to be raised up like a baby with mortal parents, just like the law of the Jews tells them. Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Okay? So the Book of Mormon must be understood in that context. No Christian interpretation. So when you see Jesus, you're supposed to go, oh, that's Emmanuel. This is symbolic, prophetic, revelatory about Emmanuel, our Christ. So that you won't be confused. So then you can understand, hey, Emmanuel comes to Lehi. Lehi is also Emmanuel. Lehi has a son named Nephi. He's Emmanuel. You getting the point yet? Should I keep on going? Captain Moroni, Alma, Abinadi, Samuel the Lamanite, even Jesus, Nephi with Jesus. That is hilarious, and none of you get it because you don't know the learning of the Jews. So, Armageddon happens, the millennium begins. Jesus comes from outer space to bountiful Utah to the temple and tells Nephi, hey, you're now the Christ, because I'm not going to stay around on my throne. I'm going back up into outer space. You are going to be the new king for a millennial year, or for a millennial reign of not even 200 years before you guys all turn wicked. And Jesus tells Nephi, bring me the records. I want to see the history of the people and what caused this. And so he gathers the records, and Jesus, as a speed reader, says, hey, where's Samuel the Lamanite? I told him to tell you things. Where are his records? Oops. And so now we have him in the Book of Mormon. Whew. There's some fun stuff here. Jesus is Emmanuel. Matthew tells us this. Chapter 1. Nephi is the new name of Emmanuel in the latter days at the Temple of Angels. And then Samuel is Hebrew for name of God, which is Emmanuel. Ta-da! Not as awesome as Samuel, who is given to the temple of Eli, the temple of God, run by Eli, with the sons of Eli. Eli is God. So, name of God is given to God at the temple of God with the sons of God. The name of God hears a voice in the middle of the night. The voice of God goes to God and said, is it you? No. Ask it what it wants. And the sons of God have sex in the wrong room of the temple of God. And so God smites down the sons of God with God to make the name of God the new God of the temple of God. That is awesome literature. Hilarious. And so, you need to know the learning of the Jews. It's kind of essential to understand correctly your Book of Mormon, Mormons. So 2 Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5. It's talking about Joseph Smith Jr. Because I think it's 15, where we are told he has the same name as Joseph of Egypt, and it's the same name as his father. And Mormons all believe that this is a prophecy, because the Book of Mormon is literal history, and therefore predicting the coming of Joseph Smith. And so, yeah, we'll play along with you, Mormons. Yeah, we'll just continue on believing that the Book of Mormon is literal history, and that it's prophesying about Joseph Smith to come in the future for, another 2,000 years, we'll say. If not longer. Okay, we'll play along with you. So, Joseph Smith would be raised up. Okay, baby. Mortal parents. Not some immaculate conception. That's not the Jewish understanding. That's Christian. And so, out of the fruit of the loins, the Lord God would raise up Joseph Smith Jr. And sure enough, Deuteronomy 18:15, raised up. That's the Jewish understanding for a baby of mortal parents, not just a virgin, but also fruit, seed of fruit. Wonder what that is. Men, a man. So it's not the Holy Ghost, is it, Christians? No, it says so right in there. Please, Christians, explain some more. I want to be an anti-Semite just like you. Praise Jesus, the great anti-Semite. And so Joseph Smith is told, yeah, he's raised up, just like the law says, but he's not the Messiah that the law says. Not the Messiah. Are you reading along? You think you know all about this without reading along? But a branch which was to be broken off. Nevertheless, Joseph Smith, to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord. For what purpose? That the Messiah, the learning of the Jews, Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, raised up as a baby with mortal baby-raised parents. I think I have to deal with something here. I hope this doesn't ruin my video. We're stopping. The people who design these computer systems, they don't take us into consideration. We do things with the computers, so we don't need to be interrupted and have our programming malfunction while we're trying to do things with it. Anyway, back to where I was. 2 Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5. Joseph Smith, baby, with baby-raised parents. You know, Joseph Smith Sr., Lucy Mack. None of them are gods. None of them came from outer space. Joseph Smith Sr. put his fruit of the loins into Lucy Mack and produced Joseph Smith Jr. Oh, right, we don't get taught sex ed. You probably don't know about that. You probably think it's a stork or something. God. Things I have to do to explain to you. Book of Mormon explain to you. Learning of the Jews explain to you. And so Joseph Smith is to come into the world for a purpose. To be remembered in the covenants of the Lord. Where are those covenants? Right, the Bible. The learning of the Jews' Bible. Well, thank ye the Jews for the Bible that you received. You don't. You say that it's Christian with non-real Jesus. And call it evidence of literal history. That's what testament means. Stupid Christians. Anti-Semites all. That the Messiah should be made manifest. Ooh, that's in in Moroni chapter 10, verses 4 and 5. I think it's verse 4. What does manifest mean? Physical. The Messiah, in the keystone of Mormonism, is to be raised up as a baby with mortal parents, a dad with seed, implanting a wife with egg, and producing the Messiah. Who is to be manifested in the flesh, raised up unto who? Them. That's LGBTQIAPO plus pronoun, right? Oh my God. In the latter days. Which means after Joseph Smith. Notice this. Joseph Smith, not the latter days. But the Messiah will be born and raised among Christians, Islam, Buddhists, Hindu, Jews? No, them refers to Joseph Smith's people, Mormons. So Joseph Smith starts a church, members through them in the latter days, for which the church is being built for. Is that why we're called Latter-day Saints? Through the Latter-day Saints, in the actual latter days, no longer preparing, we're there, and boom, there he is. Comes from outer space. Non-Trinitarian. No. Now see what it's saying here? It's real plain and precious, right, Benson? And yet, Mormons miss it. And so, sure enough, the Messiah, along with Joseph Smith, are men like Moses. Remember the law? Deuteronomy 18, verse 15. The Christ of the Jews is a baby with baby-raised parents who is to be the Christ. That's the Jewish learning. You're still not wanting to accept this? Still believe that Constantine, the great anti-Semite, is somehow true? You just got to discern which of the 1,000 interpretations your nature and character of Jesus is. And so there's Hanukkah, bringing them out of darkness unto light, out of hidden darkness unto out of captivity and freedom. And so verse 9, and he shall be great like unto Moses, whom I had said he would be raised up to deliver the Mormons of Joseph Smith in the latter days. And so, because Mormons still couldn't figure this out, Joseph Smith got revelation on the 24th of February, 1834. Not too long before Sidney Rigdon got up in a a leadership meeting and said, hey, let's change the name of the church from the Church of Christ, notice no Jesus, to the Church of the Latter-day Saints, notice no Jesus. And it was unanimously agreed upon, and the name of the church, until Joseph died, assassinated, was the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And so any document that you see with Jesus in the name of his church is forged or tampered with. And so, hey, the Joseph Smith history, for example. Joseph Smith says the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. See, Travis, you're wrong. Did you go to the Joseph Smith papers? Oops. And we even get to find out who this evil-disposed and designing militant person is who's trying to overthrow Joseph Smith's church and had him murdered. Shot him in the back, the bastard. Willard Richards, Danite of Brigham Young. Well, that sucks to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, doesn't it? You're the great and abominable church, led by Russell Marion. How art thou fallen from heaven and a chair, Russell Marion Nelson, son of the morning. You touched the Ark of the Covenant, didn't you? Naughty, naughty. With whose keys again? Whose keys? We'll get to that. That's for this video. And so in section 103, verse 16, talking about the latter days, the redemption of Zion. Therefore, I will raise up, hey, it's the Jewish Christ, unto, the Mormons, a man who shall lead them like as Moses. Ta-da, baby. He's not supernatural. He can't melt you into a pillar of salt with a stare of his eye. And so, Mormons are to be decoded through all Scripture as the children of Israel. So if it's talking about the Jews, those are the children of Israel, therefore Mormons. So Jesus is Emmanuel, the Mormon Christ in the latter days. And the Jews are the Mormons? What do the Mormons do to Jesus in the Roman period time of the author, talking about the Mormon Christ in the latter days? What do they do to him? What do Christians say the Jews did for which the Christians are anti-Semites for? Oh, they murdered their Christ? Really? How did that happen again? Creatio ex nihilo somehow. So yes, Mormons, you're going to be bitching and moaning about your Christ too. When he comes to you and talks to you, you're condescending. Did you not read your Book of Mormon about the condescending Jesus? You're mocking our Jesus, just like Elijah versus the priests of Baal. Where is your Jesus? Is he still taking a piss? You're as mean as Jesus in Matthew 23. Yeah, Mormons, you are hypocrites, whitewashing sepulchres. You're as sarcastic as Joseph Smith. This is where I get my attitude from. The scriptures, the prophets. It's what happens when you study. Their personality rubs off on you. And so, yes, go to Doctrine and Covenants, section 45 now. Joseph even tells you how to correctly interpret it. Hey, Mormons, you're the Jews. I'm going to talk about your Christ, who's going to be a Mormon in the latter days. Dear God. And so, sure enough, the Book of Mormon is true, as Joseph Smith tells Brigham Young, who's now a new member in the Quorum of the 12 under Thomas B. Marsh, and tells him, you ain't got authority, Brigham. And again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and have whose keys? To be like unto Moses. Those keys. The Christ keys. Joseph Smith is the Christ of Mormons. In the learning of the Jews. He started this church, and it's all for the coming of the Mormon learning of the Jews Christ of the latter days, who will be a Mormon baby of baby-raised parents, not supernatural. Mormons can hurt him. Mormons have hurt him. Mormons will lock him up. Mormons will try to torture him. Mormons will break his heart. Mormons will make him cry. Is my Kleenex? Yeah, I still got Kleenex. He will have 2 failed marriages. The scriptures prophesy about his life, not just about his latter days, to the Mormons. His ministry. You know, Jesus says, I am here for the Jews, not the Gentiles. Yeah, so plug in you. Your Christ, the Mormon, is not for the world. It's for you, Mormons. But if a woman at the well wants to join the Church of the Lamb, not the Church of Russell Marion Nelson, aka Lucifer, baby name meaning. So yes, your Christ has to fulfill all prophecies, right, Matthew? Which is hilarious, because if you turn it into literal history, Jesus doesn't even fulfill the prophecies. Can't even get his name right. He quotes Isaiah about his name and then says, so we named him Jesus. Screw the prophecy. It's the learning of the Jews. You're supposed to go, oh, Jesus is the man like Moses whose name is Emmanuel. Got it. Continue. And so Mormons, you're now supposed to add, oh, this is about our Christ, a Mormon, to Utah in the latter days. And so thus you can see the date that the Jewish author gave you of when the Mormon Christ comes to start his ministry among Mormons. And it's the same exact starting of the ministry of the latter days as every other prophet. 23rd September 2017. Right, Lehi? The first year of the reign of King Trump. Oh, put on by Russia. 600 years from the time of Lehi's exodus from Jerusalem in 2017. Hilarious. Joseph Smith is awesome. Senior, he had to rewrite the 116 pages. Remember, it's not literal history. And so a contemporary person wrote the Book of Mormon. And so, yes, linguistics, says Sidney Rigdon. But he didn't get baptized until December. Oh my God! Seriously? You have no clue about plausible deniability, do you? So, Section 10, Joseph Smith receives the key of the Christ on the third day of Passover, 1836. If only you knew the learning of the Jews. So, verse 11, after this vision of Jehovah, I just gave you his name, meaning that's the new name of Yah. Did you care? No. The heavens were opened again unto us, and Moses appeared before us, committing unto us the keys of missionary work. That's Peter's keys. Just see the abomination of Brigham here? He is to preach the Book of Mormon, and yet he and his Danites became the evil-disposed and designing persons militating against Joseph Smith and his church, changing the name, changing the religion, changing the Christ, and murdering Joseph and Hiram. Oh. There's the keys of the president of the church. The keys of the Christ of Mormonism. Two years after Joseph said that he has those keys. Oops. Shouldn't you have gotten these a little earlier, Joseph? And so, yeah, there's Malachi with Elijah, the day that shall burn as an oven, and so thus Elijah is to perpetuate the human race. How do we do that again? We just have spiritual thoughts and women naturally get pregnant? It's the spirit that impregnates a woman, right? Are you still listening, Jasmine? Or do you still hate me? Maybe you're on the road to come get me. Yeah. So did you ever kick that Sean guy's ass? You're not telling me this. I want to know. Are you the best DJ in the world now? Are you crowned Miss DJ? I need to know. You're gone. Where are you? Don't leave me. So, there you have it. The Mormons don't care. They don't believe. They draw near to the Book of Mormon with their lips, but their hearts are on Jesus of Christianity. I wonder who our Christ is. Can we find somebody as sarcastic and condescending as him? Is he out there somewhere? Who can he be? He'd have to have the name Emmanuel, Sun God. Can we find him?